to share in the love and the light of the divine that you all are, that we all are. And God. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to share a story with you that took place between a Brazilian theologist named Leonardo Rocque and the Dalai Lama. And here's what Rocque, who was a strong proponent of liberation theology and a rebel within the Catholic Church, recounts about that little encounter. In a roundtable discussion about religion and freedom in which the Dalai Lama and Rocque were participating, at recess, Rocque maliciously and also with interest asked him. So he was trying to catch the Dalai Lama in something, in a trap. So he's trying to capture him. He's being sneaky. And so he asks him the question. He says, Your Holiness, what is the best religion? And Rocque anticipated that the Dalai Lama's response would be Tibetan Buddhism, because obviously that's what the Dalai Lama practiced. Or one of the other Eastern religions that are far older than Christianity. But the Dalai Lama paused. He sat there, and he looked at him, and he smiled, and he looked him right in the eyes, which surprised Rocque because he knew the malice that was contained in his question. So he knew the Dalai Lama knew what he was up to, right? And so the Dalai Lama answered, the best religion is the one that gets you closer to God. It's the one that makes you a better person. So to get out of the embarrassment with such a wise answer, Rocque asked, well, what is it that makes me a better person? And the Dalai Lama's response was even more enlightening. The Dalai Lama went on to say, what makes you more compassionate? It's what makes you more sensible. It's what makes you more detached. It's what makes you more loving, more humanitarian, more responsible, more ethical. Do you notice in that what the Dalai Lama isn't saying? He's not saying what makes me all of those things. Actually, he's saying what makes you all of those things. Every single part of his response gets you closer to God, makes you a better person, makes you more compassionate. All of those things. It's what's going on inside of you, not the Dalai Lama, not anybody else. You. Right? Now back to the story. So Rocque sat there in silence for a moment, marveling at the Dalai Lama's wise and irrefutable response. And the Dalai Lama went on to say, I'm not interested, my friend, about your religion, or if you're religious or not. Don't care. Just don't care. What really is important to me is your behavior in front of your peers, your family, your work, your community, in front of the world. That's what matters. Remember, the universe is an echo of our actions and our thoughts. He went on to say, the law of action and reaction is not exclusively for physics. It's not. Dalai Lama was a pretty smart guy, right? It is also of human relations. If I act with goodness, I'll receive goodness. If I act with evil, I get evil. You will always have what you desire for others. Being happy is not a matter of destiny, it's a matter of options. And then finally, the Dalai Lama said, take care of your thoughts, because your thoughts become words. Take care of your words, because your words become actions. Take care of your actions, because your actions become habits. Take care of your habits, because they'll form your character. Take care of your character, because that will form your destiny. And your destiny will be your life. And he closed it with saying this final thing. He said, there is no religion higher than truth. There is no religion that is higher than truth. Right? So a few weeks ago, the name of this talk popped up into my head, and what normally happens with that is sometimes I'll get the name for a talk, but then I'll sit there and go, okay, God, well, that's great. Well, what am I going to do with this thing? Sounds cool, right? Your spiritual sweet spot, doesn't it sound cool? Yeah, but what am I supposed to do with it? It's like, hello, give me something, would you? I need something to work with. And this talk was absolutely no different. So as I started to prepare, I didn't have that story with the Dalai Lama. All of a sudden, it just kind of showed up, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Because in a sense, wasn't the Dalai Lama really talking and sharing with us what a really cool sweet spot would be for him, and possibly a good map to use for humanity, just a little bit, maybe just a little bit, maybe, right? And so as I sat there, I started thinking about this idea of your spiritual sweet spot, right? And I'm going to start off with the definition of a spiritual sweet spot. I'm going to use some of Dalai Lama's, which is, again, going back to his words, whatever you need to be doing that brings you closer to God. That's cool. Kind of like that a little bit. And your spiritual sweet spot makes you a better person. So here's my next question. If you think about that, how many of us have actually sat down to take the time to define exactly what it is that brings you closer to God and makes you a better person? How many people have actually sat down and thought about it? I'm just curious, has anybody sat down and actually thought about it and written down? Shannon's shaking her head, yeah. Anybody else? I got Dan's raising his hand. Cool. It's just an interesting question. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. There's no judgment here. I was just kind of curious because I honestly don't know if I ever did. My life's kind of crazy in the fact that I'm always passionate about figuring out what's going on with my divinity. And so therefore, it's always a passion inside of me. So I'm always looking, always playing, always experimenting, always having a good time. Because to me, the spirituality and my journey, my spiritual journey can't be fun. Why do it? I'm not doing it. Period. End of story. I'm not saying that it's not challenging. I'm not saying when you get the courage and you decide, I'm going to go in here, that there might not be some bumps along the road. Because I hate to be, a bearer of bad news, if you will. But if you decide to take on this crazy thing called a spiritual journey, as you go inside, there might be one or two things that you need to clean out. Maybe. Anybody have that experience ever? Yeah, if somebody's not raising their hand in here, yeah. Anyway, there's always a little bit of stuff, right? Isn't that the truth as we start the spiritual journey? All of a sudden, what happens? We start to wake up. We become aware of what's going on where? Not out here, which is where the world is telling us all to look, but actually we start looking within. And when you start becoming aware, what do you become aware of? Unconscious thoughts that have been banging around in the back of your head, and I would argue that aren't even yours, about who and what you are. Because that information has been beat in our head from our parents to our grandparents to generation and generation and generation and generation. And I'm going to tell you right now that 99% of it is garbage. And guess what? You bought it. You bought it. And so, when you start the spiritual path, when you start on a spiritual journey, guess what? You start paying attention to what's going on in here. Why? Because it's telling you a bunch of lies about who and what you are and what you're capable of. And it's not yours. And I promise you this, it is not coming from God. It ain't. It ain't happening. That's not the way it works. That's not it. So as I contemplated this question for myself, I just wanted to share with you some thoughts that I had in terms of my own spiritual sweet spot. And for me, I went back to the story about Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? I like my spiritual sweet spot to be not too hot. I like it not to be too cold, but I like it right in the middle. But then you got to say, okay, well, great. Then what's right in the middle? What does right in the middle look like for me? And again, I'm sharing this with you, and it's not for you to agree or disagree with what my spiritual sweet spot is. That's for you to figure out, right? So, my spiritual sweet spot, first of all, it's alive. This relationship that I have with my divinity and with God is alive. It's vibrant. It is real, and it energizes me. It brings me power. It brings me strength. It brings me clarity. It's an awesome dance. I love the dance. I love it. And it is alive in me. I mean, like crazy alive, like fun alive, like energy. That's what's happening with my spiritual dance, right? There's growth. There's expansion. In other words, I don't feel stuck in my own spiritual sweet spot. There is a nudging that feels like I'm being pushed by my own spirit. And sometimes the stuff I get into is crazy and fun, and sometimes it's like, oh my God, put the seatbelt on. What is going on? That's the truth of what my spiritual journey looks like at the time. Anybody join me in that at all? Yeah, we all do. We got this crazy idea that thinks a spiritual journey, we're all going to sit around like Jesus and walk around and sit on a mountaintop and home and hang out. Right? Wrong. Thank you. That's not it. You know what's going to happen when you get on a spiritual journey? Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get up Monday morning and you're going to go to work. And you're going to go do whatever you're going to do, and you're going to have to deal with whatever you have to deal with. But there's a difference. The difference is you've got this piece inside of you that sits there and tells you, you know what? We're going to go have some good times. There's going to be some times that aren't so good. But you know what? No matter what, inside of you, you've got this thing that can help you get through it. To bring awarenesses, to bring peace, to bring the things that you need to have in order to get through those difficult times. So you don't stay stuck. Staying stuck sucks. Been there, done it. It's not a lot of fun. It's not. It's not. For me, my spiritual sweet spot is about being more than it is doing. That's becoming loud and clear to me. It's about being. It's more of my heart. Instead of my brain. So I want to be here more and up here more. Right? It also includes several different spiritual practices. Prayer, meditation, affirmations, really into breath work lately. Anybody playing with breath work lately? Oh my God, it's so much fun. So much fun. Grounding. I don't know about you, I can't get it on Mother Earth right now. I just want to go out in the dirt and roll all over it, roll it and play with it and just smile at it. I hug a tree every single morning at 5:30 when I walk out to take my dog for a walk. I can't get enough of her. I can't. Now that's Crazy Mike, doing what Crazy Mike is doing, right? I love giving back. And some of the stuff may resonate with you, some of it may not. That's okay. It doesn't matter. We're all at different places, but I encourage you, whatever your sweet spot is, figure it out. You've got this magical combination inside of you that is different than anybody else's combination in order for you to plug in your divinity to carry this energy and this load that's going on at this point in time. That's what's happening. But we got to stop for a minute. And we got to figure out, what is it that makes me tick? What is it that makes me go? What is it that can allow me to have the experience that all the sages and all the people that came before us said, hey, this thing is there. You just got to go figure it out. And what works for you, right? So if you're sitting there listening to this crazy talk and you're going, I don't know, what's this guy talking about? I have no idea. Don't fear about the spiritual sweet spot, right? There's been plenty of people that have come before us that kind of gave us some clues, right? Jesus, Buddha, Fillmore's. Take a look at their life. What did they all share in common? What did they all do? They walk around telling everybody, don't forget who you are, which is basically divine. Right? They all love to teach. Now, maybe you don't, maybe teaching's not your thing, it's okay. But what did they talk about? Prayer, your own divinity, your connection to God. By the way, they're also amazing healers too, all cool stuff that they did with divinity when they walked on this face of the earth, right? Pretty cool. So they left us some clues. And if you study their stories and you study their lives, they're pretty amazing in terms of what they were able to do, obviously. I wanted to spend some time and share with you one of the brightest of modern times, and I want to talk about Einstein and what Einstein's sweet spot was. Now, I know a lot of you may not realize that Einstein was actually a pretty spiritual dude. He was. But did you know that when he gave lectures at numerous U.S. universities, where he was invited to speak, he would often get asked this question: do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? And when asked that question, Einstein would always answer the same thing. He said, I believe in the God of Spinoza. Spinoza? Who's Spinoza? Now, the ones that hadn't read Spinoza didn't understand, but Rocque was a Dutch philosopher considered one of the great rationalists of the 17th century, along with René Descartes in France and Gottfried Leibniz in Germany. So at that time, one of the great thinkers, right? And here is some of his wisdom and why Einstein loved it. Spinoza believed that God would have said, stop praying and punching yourself in the chest. Knock it off. What I want you to do is to go out in the world and enjoy your life. I want you to enjoy, to sing, to have fun, and to enjoy everything I've made for you. Stop going to those dark, cold temples that you built yourself and say that they're my house. My house is in the mountains, in the woods, in the rivers, in the lakes, in the beaches. That's where I live. That's where I express my love for you. Stop blaming me for your miserable life. I never told you there was anything wrong with you, or that you were a sinner, or that your sexuality was a bad thing. Sex is a gift that I've given to you, with which you can express your love, your ecstasy, and your joy. So don't blame me for everything. They made you believe. They made you believe. Stop reading alleged sacred scriptures that have nothing to do with me. If you can't read me in a sunrise and landscape and the look of your friends and your son's eyes, you will find pain in no book. You won't find it there. Trust me and stop asking me, would you tell me how to do my job? Really? Stop being so scared of me. I don't judge you or criticize you, nor get angry or seek to punish you. I am pure love. Stop asking for forgiveness. There's nothing to forgive. Nothing. If I made you, I filled you with passions, pleasures, feelings, needs, inconsistencies, limitations, free will, all of it. The entire human experience. That's how I created you. How can I blame you if you respond to something I put in you? How can I do that? How can I punish you for being the way you are if I'm the one who made you? Do you think I can create a place to burn all of my children who behave badly for the rest of eternity? What kind of a God would do that? Forget any kind of commandments, any kind of laws. Those are wiles to manipulate you, to control you, that only create guilt in you. Respect your peers and don't do what you don't want for yourself. All I ask is that you pay attention in your life, that your consciousness is your guide. My beloved, this life is not a test. It's not a step. It's not a rehearsal, nor a prelude to paradise. This life is the only thing that exists here and now, and it's all you need. I have set you absolutely free. No prizes or punishments, no sins or virtues. No one carries a marker. No one keeps a record. You are absolutely free to create in your life heaven or hell. It's your choice. I could tell you if there's anything after this life, but I won't. But I can give you a tip. Live as if there is nothing after, as if this is your only chance to enjoy, to love, to exist. So if there's nothing, then you'll have enjoyed the opportunity that I gave you. And if there is, rest assured, I won't ask you if you behaved right or wrong. I'll ask you questions like, hey, did you like that? Did you have fun? What did you enjoy the most? What did you learn? Stop believing in me. Believing is assuming, guessing, imagining. I don't want you to believe in me. I want you to feel me. I'm going to say that again. God wants you to feel God. When you kiss your beloved, when you tuck in your little girl, when you caress your dog, when you bathe in the sea. Stop praising me. What kind of egomaniac God do you think I am? I'm bored being praised. I'm tired of being thanked. Feeling grateful? Prove it by taking care of yourself, your health, your relationships, the world. Express your joy. That's the way to praise me. Stop complicating things and repeating as a parakeet what you've been taught about me. The only thing for sure is that you're here and that you're alive, and that this world is full of wonders. And what do you need miracles for? Why so many explanations? Why? If you look for me on the outside, you won't find me. However, if you find me inside, there I am beating within you. This was Spinoza's philosophy. This was Einstein's sweet spot. I wanted to share it with you this morning because when I read it, it just blew my socks away. I never heard of this guy, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. How cool a sweet spot is that? So, I have some fun I'd like to play with everybody this morning. And here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to just take a few moments, go into a little meditation, and have you guys sit there and play with this idea or thought of what is my spiritual sweet spot? What could that thing be? What could it look like? What could it feel like? How does it look for me? Not anybody else. Guess what? Nobody else is listening. Nobody else is taking notes. Nobody else knows your answers. Only you. So, gentlemen, the lights down. That would be fantastic. Thank you, Kat. And now I just want you to slowly, if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes. And just slowly go back into that space of connecting with yourself. Just imagine this light in your heart. This bright light. Right in your heart, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Pretty soon this light is filling your entire body. And then it continues to expand outward. I want you to connect with yourself. There is a part of you, your divinity, that's unique, unlike anybody else's. Imagine just connecting with that part of you. Maybe there's something you need to say. Maybe there's something it needs to say to you. Connect with that part of you, whatever that means for you. And by the way, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Maybe you see something, maybe you feel something. It's all good. And now I just want you to imagine a question. And the question you're going to ask is, what is my spiritual sweet spot? And let your mind go where it needs to go. And just imagine, what is it that you feel that brings you closer to God? Is it nature? Is it prayer? Is it having a conversation with a friend? Maybe it's coming to church on Sundays. Just take a few moments and listen to what comes through. Allow that energy to continue to flow. Allow the thoughts to continue to flow. Just be with yourself and trust this moment. And now what I'd like you to do is just kind of start wrapping things up. Maybe thank yourself. Maybe thank God. And then slowly start to come back into your body. Come back into the room. Move your toes, your fingers. And when you're ready to, just open your eyes. Lose anybody? Okay, everybody come back? Good. Glad to see you. So my hope and prayer today is maybe some thoughts came through or some ideas that came through of number one, do you have a spiritual sweet spot? And my answer is, yes, you do. But now you can actually put a finger on it in terms of, well, what does that mean? It means that what do you have to do to keep yourself energized, to keep yourself vibrant, to keep this connection with God, whatever it looks like for you. It's a magical, magical journey to go on the spiritual path, to take this walk. It's an incredible journey. As Ram Dass said, we're all just meeting each other home. Right? I love coming together with the two churches. There's so much stuff that's going on. We've got so much stuff out there that's going to be happening. The energy on the planet right now is just absolutely amazing. I know. We're being told that this is happening and that's happening and this is happening and that's happening. But all I'm telling you is we are in for a tomorrow that is going to blow your mind. And I don't mean in a bad way. We're waking up. The shadow has to be exposed before we can heal it. Guess what? It's being exposed. But what I want to share with you, what I promise you, is the other side of the shadow work is great joy. It's great love. It's great community. It's great passion. It's great divinity. And we have the opportunity to actually engage in it, to be a part of it. And I would argue each and every one of you already is, just because of who and what you are and the work that you're doing. This is happening, folks. And while I sit up here and maybe give some specifics on what's going on, it doesn't matter. We are shifting and changing our consciousness on a planetary level. It's happening right here, right now. You're doing it. You're doing the work. You are, just because of who and what you are. just because of showing up in here, just because you're willing to have a conversation or even entertain the thought or the idea that you might have something inside of you, that there's something inside of you that was put in there by God. And you have the courage to look at that. And you have the courage to talk about it. And you have the courage to play with it, even when it's scary. Because ultimately you remember who and what you are. You are brilliant, beyond our understanding. You are perfect. You are whole. You are complete. Every single one of you. You are loved beyond. You're amazing. You are all doing a fantastic job. You really, really, really are. Just showing up and being who you are, the light that you are, you have no idea what a difference you're making. I don't care what's going on in your life right now. I know some of you are struggling. I get it. It doesn't matter. It's coming out for a reason. Remember that. Even if it doesn't look pretty, it doesn't matter. You are amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm going to acknowledge the light in every single person here or that's watching us online. Keep shining, folks. Keep shining. You are beautiful. I could not be happier. I could not be more grateful to be able to share this with you. I hope you have an awesome day because you are awesome. God bless.